Welcome to Lift Your Leg. This is Monique Anstey from the Naughty Dog in Victoria, BC, author of As a Dog Thinketh.
And Jill Brown from Calgary, Alberta, the Bag Lady.
Tonight we are answering questions, so thank you so much to everyone that sent them forward, and we will do our best.
All right, this should be fun.
The first one is about a bravery question. A dog that's struggling with new stimuli. There's kind of some stuff that she's done here. This is for Danette.
Hey, Nat.
She's done like approach and retreat techniques similar to what I use for a spooking horse. Would value your ideas on what we would do with this. So I wouldn't use any of that stuff, as in the approach and retreat. With dogs and bravery, what I have found is it has to be fun. Like, just turn it into a game. Once your knees are buckling and you can barely stop laughing, you've accomplished your mission. But you need to get to that point with your dog. And I highly suggesting wine. Or lemon drops. They work very well too on a hot Sunday afternoon.
Go for it, Nat. I know that she'll be happy to join in the wine.
So make it more fun. Like, it needs to be fun versus technical exercises. Like, you need to be laughing at your dog as you're doing this stuff. Enjoy it. Like, just enjoy and have fun.
Make it a real game. The trash bag blowing in the wind, I probably would do nothing other than laugh and maybe chase the garbage bag with the dog. I think all of my dogs have been kind of weird about that. They're like, what is that blowing away in front of me? And if I amp them up, then they'll chase it and run it down. A box, I would probably run up and start kicking it around like a soccer ball.
Yeah, throw a cookie inside the box and kick it.
Yeah. Make a ton of noise, laugh at it, just be stupid with the box until the dog decides that it's something that they want to shred.
I'm adding this in after the fact. Try and not make it survival. I would be creating novel stuff at home and turning that into a game. So you want set lessons rather than working on real things. And just make them bigger and braver and bolder, kind of with your set silly lessons, so that life then becomes easier. I wouldn't be doing this on the road when something spooks them. Harry is currently rolling upside down with a Chihuahua toy in his mouth of a teeny tiny little unicorn. He's such an idiot.
Oh, Harry.
Oh, Harry. All right, next question. Living with intact males, let them interact or not. I have a house with 3 intact males. So I have Johnny German Shepherd, who is a very strong, confident male. Harry Malinois, who is a strong, confident male, but not as strong as Johnny. And then I have Rupert Basset Hound, who is a less than strong, confident male.
He wants to be a strong male.
He wants to be a strong male. So, of course, the Basset Hound right here is going to be the issue, right? So Rupert was super good with my household until he lost his vision. And once he lost his vision, he wanted to start going after my strong males. So living with them, let them interact or not. My 3 boys were good together up until Rupert completely lost his vision. And they go on hikes together. They go on walks together. They had teeny tiny bits of house time together where I'm a lot more careful with my working boys in the house. But yes, they were together and I'm careful. But now I cannot put Rupert with Harry. I now have issues with that. But otherwise, if you don't have an issue, go for it. Like Peter Sherk that I know, his intact males are together. There's many top trainers where their intact males are together and training in our sport.
I think it depends entirely upon the individual dogs. Like, if you can do it, great. If you don't have any issues, I absolutely would let them interact together. If you have issues, then obviously you've got to do something about it. But would I have intact males that I purposely kept apart just because they were intact males? No.
No, I'm going to pull them apart because I'm seeing something brewing.
Yeah.
Not because they're intact males.
Do you feel that's any different than having intact bitches together?
I am more careful about bitches that I add to my house than I am males that I add to my house.
Like bitch to bitch versus...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because bitch to bitch, they can wait a full year before they kill each other. and pretend to get along nicely while
Yeah.
they wait for that year. Whereas male sis are like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you. Then
Well,
they go
and
through their motions and pretend, and then we deal with it and move on.
intact boys are kind of like men where they can
Yeah,
have a big fight outside the bar and then they'll go in and have a beer together.
exactly.
Bitches are like, yeah, we've had
Hold
the
it
fight.
in.
Let's go in and have a glass of wine and I will throw a
Yeah.
roofie in yours. I mean, they're, yeah, bitches are a little bit funny, but I, I,
Kate, Kate Border Collie waited for an entire year for a moment to get Charlie Malinois female in our house. And she waited till Charlie was totally vulnerable on the other side of a baby gate and stuck her head up against the baby gate for Brian to scratch her. And Kate dove in there and grabbed a chunk of her cheek. And that literally was a year in the waiting for it to happen. Now, Charlie had been going in the car and snarking at everyone in the car for years. And Kate had been taking that inwards and then got her opportunity to make things right. So that's girls, and I'm almost more careful with girls than I am the boys. Boys, it's going to be a scarier fight,
yeah,
but it's also going to be a much more honest fight.
yeah,
Whereas with girls, it seems to kind of come from nowhere. They'll take it in, hide it, and wait for their moment.
yeah.
Whereas,
Girls don't let it go.
yeah. So right now with Rupert, I'm dealing with a medical issue which changes things entirely. But other than that, I've had boys living intact in harmony for quite quite a few years now, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But with my boys, I am careful not to take any chances, and I do see the micro details
Yeah.
before it explodes.
Well,
Because once it
when you've,
explodes, there's no turning back.
and when you've got 90-pound boys and you're, like you said, 5'1", if something does happen, it's an issue because if you're there alone, it's a problem dealing with it. Just from a size aspect, you have to be aware of the micro things that happen.
I have 70-pound boys. I have teeny tiny boys now. It's lovely.
Johnny's not teeny tiny, please.
No, but Harry is. It's really nice.
Yeah. I dreamt I owned Johnny last night.
Keep dreaming.
Bitch.
I'm trying to get to our next question and I can't. I'm locked out on my phone. Showing your dog that you have their back, particularly with reactive dogs, what does this look like for you? Super question.
Yes.
And it does depend on the dog. So for Wilbur, my cattle dog that's a board and train right now, who thinks that the world is against him, I have used a stick with him. So it's a 4-foot stick. And I will use it. I will stand at Wilbur's bum and create with my stick kind of a barrier around him. So if anyone tries to invade that barrier, they get bonked with my stick. So my stick's moving left, right, just creating this kind of hula hoop space around Wilbur.
So he's still face to face to whatever he's dealing with?
Yep. And then I'm creating space between the offender and him
Okay.
with my stick. So Wilbur really fast learned to love my stick because it made everyone else go away.
Right. See, I've
So
always thought with the stick, that would work with Sizzle because she wants to look face to face to a dog.
exactly. Sizzle and Wilbur, they both are dogs that need to learn to move forwards without us always protecting them. But as they move forwards, which is what they're inclined to do anyway, and then get
Mm-hmm.
themselves in trouble,
Yep.
but I'm moving with them. I'm allowing them in front of me. And I'm just got this long stick that I'm creating like a hula hoop space in front of them. So if a dog comes at them while they're in front of me, I still have the stick in front of their noses and I create a fence like barrier around them so that dog can't get into their face.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Jill?
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out and touch someone.
Yeah, reach out and touch them, but I'm doing it in a rhythmic manner. So it's like a moving fence moving left and right, left and right, left and
Yeah.
right.
So
And if that,
you've got a barrier in front of them
yes,
that's pushing the
yes,
other dog back and they can
yes.
continue to move forward. Okay.
And if that dog's super pushy that's running at them in front of me, my stick speeds up its tempo of left, right, left, right, left, right,
Yeah.
left, right, versus if it's a like slow geriatric, it's like left, right,
Yeah.
left, right. This stick just creates a barrier around my dog's space that needs it. So
Yeah.
that's one of the ways that I'm advocating for them. You said, how does it look like I've got their back? Pretty much in any scenario, I'm the one going forward towards that approaching dog. So in one like that, I'm blocking the dog from getting to them. If it was another scenario, like I'm out bike riding and a dog's approaching, I'm going to call my dogs back, either sit them down them, and I'm stepping in front and stopping that dog from approaching. So the dog just doesn't have access to my dogs.
Yeah.
Now, there are moments that disasters happen because that's reality of living in the real world where you actually take your dogs in public. So shit sometimes happens and we just have to deal with that. And I had one lady with her standard poodle. She had a pit bull come and attack her standard poodle and she couldn't get the pit bull off her dog.
Oh dear.
It's all of our worst feeling. Like we all know how this feels when this moment happens. Like it's worst case scenario. Anyhow, she broke her foot kicking the pit bull, trying to get it off her dog. So she lost. She broke her foot. Her dog lost. He had a major injury. But both of them left champions because they knew they were a team fighting together. So bad stuff can happen, but so long as our dog looks back and says, "Oh, thank God you were fighting with me," then everything's okay.
Yeah.
They just have
Just
to know we're on their team.
don't leave them out there on their own.
Be your dog's number one advocate. That's all.
Yep.
When disasters happen, let them look back and think, "Ha, mother was with me too."
Yep.
That's all. That's all it has to be. Next question. On teaching a retrieve my 11-month-old Maltese, good choice in breed, will readily go get the toy I toss, but drops it 3 feet from me. How should I fix this? I have my answer, but I won't override Jill. I'll let her answer first.
I would go back to teaching hold.
Okay? You're so dull, Jill.
Well, I would just go back to the basics and teach hold. I know that you're going to do something huge high drive, which I would do as well once I had more of a hold. 3 months, I would guess 3 feet. I would guess that this person is standing still while the dog is coming back in with the toy.
Yeah, I would too.
And as soon as the dog is coming back in, before it had the chance to drop it, I would turn and run.
Okay.
And then I would grab the toy and play with them and tug and whatnot.
So normally, if a dog's chewing or dropping within like that 3 foot radius of coming to us, that shows a little bit of conflict with the handler. And conflict with the handler doesn't mean that the handler's been mean or nasty or anything like that. It just means that we may have more size, more pressure, something like that with the dog that they're taking as a threat. And being a teeny tiny Maltese, that's probably what it is here. So just remove that for him by teaching him to be ruder, badder in his approach with you, and then slowly throw in a sit.
I was thinking that it may have been Prada just stuck her nose on the glass of the fireplace and now she's rolling around on the carpet because it stung.
Because her nose is burning.
Yes. So that's what she gets from sitting so close to it. I would think that maybe this dog is being like having food spit to it as it's coming in close, so it's dropping the toy, expecting a reward real quickly.
Or good words being spoken, which will
Yep,
also make them drop.
yep. So hold off on that until they're more committed to it.
My second thought, Kathy, is like with your Maltese, this is probably unfixable for you, so send it to me.
Don't listen to her, Kathy.
I love
So,
Maltese. I absolutely love them. So I will steal your dog if you give me half a chance.
I would also, with a little dog like that, I would be doing my retrieves with me on my knees. And as the dog is coming back to me, I would lean back onto the
Super.
heels of my feet so that they would
Absolutely.
run up my body.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, listen to Jill. She's 100% right there. I
Woohoo.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, enjoy. And with the Maltese, I wouldn't be using any force, any correction. I would just use my body in a way that I taught that dog to run at me like a runway,
Yeah.
just as Jill said. And enjoy. Kick ass in competition.
Yeah. Exactly.
We need more Maltese in competition. Next one. How do you get a dog? Jill, this question is for you. How do you get a dog to ignore treasures when they are off leash, even though they usually have a great recall, asking the impossible right?
So
My dogs all eat horse poo and roll in it, so I'm not answering this question.
yeah, well, mine do too. And then she vomits for the next 45 minutes until she can get it up.
Mine don't vomit, they just enjoy every moment.
Can I answer
Because
it?
you go ahead.
I would use an e-collar.
I wouldn't. I've just what are the treasures? Let them eat it. Is it gonna kill them? Stop being so controlling.
Well, stop being so controlling, but if you call your dog and they're ignoring you, what's the treasure? Like you said, is it a car that's going by? Is it a horse they're going to chase?
I'm guessing it's horse poo or a dead mouse.
Which is fine. I wouldn't make a big deal of that. But if it's something bigger, I still want my dogs to come to me when I call them.
Absolutely.
I just wouldn't call them if I knew that they were just enjoying a pile of horse crap or a mouse turd or seaweed or a dead fish.
I agree.
I'd be like, enjoy that.
So, are these treasures life threatening? If they're not, sometimes we have to suck it up and just let them be dogs.
Yeah.
So, if he's rolling in horse poo, yeah, it's gross.
And
Is
you're
it the
gonna,
end of the world? No.
yeah, you're gonna have to brush them out when you get home. Maybe give them a bath.
If he's eating horse poo, is it the end of the world? Well, if he's a kind of border collie sensitive to ivermectin, maybe it is the end of the world.
Yeah.
If he's not, it's really just vegetables.
Yeah.
Consider it the
Roughage.
supplement that you missed in his dinner the night before.
Yeah.
And let him have it.
It's fiber.
I am kind of free with my dogs that way. Like if they want to eat poo of some kind, I'll let them.
Right.
I'm not controlling them for stuff like that. If it's dangerous, if I say out, out means out for me.
Or
Yep. We have to have control when we want it, but we also can't abuse that with controlling them on things that don't fit into our human lives. Adding this in after the fact, I found the more we try and stop them from eating stuff like that, the worse and worse it gets. If they're allowed to, they may take a tiny mouthful and just continue on. When they're not allowed to, they will find it. They will hunt it down, they will find it, and they will gorge. So that's why I've now switched to just allowing my dogs to eat stuff like that. It's stopped them from being gorgers.
absolutely.
I hope we answered your question for you. How do you improve motivation and a willingness to work with you? How about increasing food drive with a puppy that doesn't like eating? Well, the first part of that is huge. Well, the second part of that. How about increasing food drive with a puppy that doesn't like eating? Well, I'm going to get my puppy nice and plump, and then I'm going to cut his food back so I can build food drive. Because if you don't have a puppy with food drive, good luck training them. Positive
Yeah.
reinforcement is out. It's so hard to train them. So get them nice and plump so starvation is off the table. Then cut back their rations enough that food starts to have value again so you can make it have meaning.
Once you've gotten them to the point where you've cut their food back, then start holding them back from their food.
Yeah.
So it becomes even more important, more exciting to them. Like physically, hold them back, pull them back as they're going to the food bowl, pull them back again. Food becomes much more intriguing to them then.
She's right. With the flat of my hand against their chest, I'm going to have their food bowl down for dinner time. And very gently, as they're diving forwards to the bowl, very gently just kind of push them away. So they have to fight harder and harder to get their food.
Yep. How do you improve motivation and willingness to work with you? Well, that kind of will come with making food more important.
And your relationship,
And
which
your
is like the dirty word.
Yep.
So relationship, it has to be fun. And I think we've gotten stuck in the last 10, 20 years about being so technical of like, yes, here's your cookie. Yes, here's your cookie. What about, Yes, push him backwards and take off running so he can't catch you.
Yeah.
That's the kind of shit that's going to make him want to come to you. So be like so much more fun than the rabbit. And once you're more fun than the rabbit, you won't have to work on that part. But that's so easy to say and so hard to do. So, how would I suggest working on that? Sylvia Bishop used to have a video of living with my dogs that showed this. Like, she just had such a relationship with her dogs. I'm sure you can find that video somewhere. I studied that video for hours and hours and hours when I was younger.
Maybe I need to get a puppy and make that video.
I'm getting to Vern. Sorry, husband still doesn't know.
That would be a good video to make, is to show people how to improve and increase your relationship with a puppy that really doesn't want to. Even ones that want to, you can still show how to improve it.
I think ultimately you just have to be fun. Like have that naughty side to you. So they're looking at you, they're looking at you, they're like barely looking at you, they're like eyes are quivering left and right with distractions and shove them away and take off running. Like just be unpredictable and fun. Learn how to laugh with your dog.
Try to be more like a litter mate. Like when you think of how litter mates play in a roughhouse, don't be so worried about hurting your puppy's feelings. Because honestly, if they're playing in a litter and one of the puppies hurts the other one, and the one sits down and it's all sad because it got hurt, the rest of them are like, fine, sit there and mope, then we're going to go play over here.
Yeah,
It's
they
not very,
take out the one that's sad.
yeah, it's not very long before the sad one is like, well, that didn't work. I might as well get back in there and play. So make life exciting. Play more like another puppy.
I agree. Be unpredictable. And be fun and unpredictable. Like you can't always have the same responses to every game. So sometimes I whip them in the ass with a dishcloth. Other times I might, as they're running at me, as they get closer and closer, I'm ready for them. I'm ready for them. I grab their collar and throw them through my legs and push their bum through my legs and take off running.
Yep.
So always give them just something different so that you're relevant and you're worth paying attention to.
Yep. And they're always watching and waiting for the next exciting thing that might happen.
All right, we're on to the next question. Let's talk training sight impaired or deaf dogs. This is not my strength because my sight impaired dog completely ignores me. I can't be the only one who had to make up as she went. So my completely blind dog loves me with every core of his being and follows me everywhere and goes off the sound of my feet. Whereas my mostly hearing impaired and mostly blind border collie has survived very well with her limited function and don't need me one bit.
I honestly don't know how you would train a deaf dog.
It's with a collar on vibration,
Well,
but
I was
it's
gonna
not
say
my
that.
thing.
Yeah,
I've never done it.
I was gonna say that with a blind dog. I mean, if you, as in Rupert's case, you have like a heads up, so you know it's gonna happen, so you can easily teach them with a vibrate collar, like, or a tone collar. Like one tone means
It's just
let.
voice with Rupert, like, this way, honey.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. Don't walk off the cliff. Rupert, Rupert.
Well, exactly. But my thought was, if you can teach them to stop on a vibrate, so if they're approaching something that's dangerous, you can just hit a vibrate and they'll stop. I had a dog that she was almost blind and she went deaf in one ear. So if I called her, if she was going and she didn't know where she was going and I called her to me, she would only hear from the one ear and she would turn in that direction and go, which didn't always work to my benefit. So I just learned that I would call her and say, stay. And then I would go in and pick her up from wherever she was and go from there. But as far as, like, I guess it depends on what you're looking to train them for. I yeah.
Deaf dogs normally trained with a collar on vibrate I have never done it. There are trainers that have, but I'm not this trainer.
Yeah.
So I cannot advise on it. I've never trained deaf dogs. I've always avoided it. That's not my niche. So this is one of those that this isn't my kingdom. I'm not going to pretend it is. There are trainers out there way, way better than I am at this. Go find them.
It wouldn't be something that I would want to take on.
Deb Braun, what's the difference between what the dog is versus what the dog is trained? It's a
It's
fantastic question. But
how to
how do
tell
you
the
tell
difference between
that?
the dog.
So the question is, how do we see who Pippa is today versus who Pippa was?
Hmm.
Right? How do we see who Sizzle is today versus who Sizzle was? And here's my answer to you. And I'm not sure this is helpful in any way. I was teaching a seminar. It was down south somewhere in the USA. And I played with this guy's dog. And this guy is a fantastic dog trainer, Jerry. And as I played with his dog after having watched him with his dog for a day, I realized there was nothing there. But it was only through actually playing with his dog and interacting with his dog I could feel this. And I handed him his dog back and said, "Wow, well done." Um,
I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit on that
okay.
because there are a lot of dogs out there that you can hand off to someone else and they'll be the same dog. But there are also a lot of dogs out there that you hand off to someone else and you're not their owner, so they just won't work with you.
Oh, this dog played with me. He played with me great.
So what were you seeing that wasn't there? I'm thinking
I
of
could feel
mine,
it. I could feel it. I could
like,
feel there wasn't the power and intensity backing it up that there seemed to be. It just wasn't. The picture was a beautifully built house of cards. So the dog played with me. He was fantastic with me,
mhm,
but there wasn't the power there that I was expecting to be, which is why I said fantastic job training this dog.
interesting. Because I always kind of feel like mine with me, they look like they're a lot of dog, but if I was to hand them off to somebody else, they'd be like, huh. And I think that's very true with Sizzle. She's absolutely a house of cards. I don't feel that way with Prada, but Prada still wouldn't. I don't think she'd happily go and work with you.
Prada's not a house of cards. Prada's just spoilt Prada that's never been built.
She's been built. Well, she hasn't had to. She hasn't really
She
needed
hasn't
to be built.
she hasn't had to be built, so she hasn't been. So she's just kind of like Mo Chihuahua. Like, I'm perfect and I'm sitting on daddy's knee. What more could you want?
Well, it's true.
So that's Prada.
Okay.
Whereas the dog I'm talking about, like, he looks amazing with his owner playing. And I played with him and he looked amazing with me, but he didn't feel amazing.
Interesting.
No one in the audience knew, but I did and the owner did.
Yeah. You could
That's it.
just feel it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, again, how do you tell the difference?
It's a feel thing. It's a feel thing, but with certain trainers, I'm not sure you're going to have that feel. Like with some of the best trainers out there, and I'm not adding myself to this category, just for the record, but with some of these true trainers out there, I'm not sure you're even going to be able to tell. It's only going to be seen if you stick that dog in a stressful moment that you're going to see their default.
And I think that
But
stressful moment has to come without the handler because many of them, even in that stressful time, if they've been built,
can cope.
exactly.
So it does depend on the caliber of training we're talking about. But I'm thinking like some of the trainers I've seen like internationally, you're not going to be able to tell. Because there was one dog I
Yeah.
saw internationally that I could not tell. And I was speaking with somebody else about the same dog a year later, and they told me what this dog was like. I would never have known in a million
Yeah.
years. So the best trainers among us, I think it's hidden so well you might not be able to tell.
I
But at that point, I'm talking like world level trainers.
well, I was going to say
Um,
that this is something that it's almost an impossible question. Um,
but
I
if you're talking like my dogs and Jill's dogs, because we've talked about them too, like Pippa's hidden, Rupert's hidden, Sizzle's hidden.
yeah,
So if you're talking like those dogs, and we're not world level trainers, how will you see it? You can add a novel situation to Pippa and you might see her crumble.
yeah,
Or you can add a novel situation to Rupert, such as blindness,
yeah,
and you might see him crumble. And with Sizzle, the same. You can throw like a bunch of stimuli at her and you're going to see her shrink a little bit.
yeah.
It's not going to be major, but you are going to see like a decrease. And that's your tell.
I think if you're looking to get a puppy out of a dog, don't put all of your eggs into a title basket. Because you can have a dog with every single title on.
Yep.
Like you're looking for a puppy that's going to be able to compete at high end levels. It doesn't necessarily correlate with the number of titles the parents have. I mean, it's a very good question, but I don't know that it's one that can really be answered.
I'm just trying to find that question again.
How to tell the difference between what the dog is versus what it's trained.
I think truly it's going to be a totally novel stimuli that you're going to see the tells. Anything trained will be hidden. So it has to be a completely unique situation that might
Yeah,
trigger it.
yeah,
And it's going to be subtle, it's not going to be major. But you will see something in that completely unique situation. And I do think that this is a little piece of competing at the major competitions like Worlds, because at the world competitions, they always change things on you slightly. So you will be able to see it. So a lot of these dogs can do really well at regionals and nationals and local competitions and competitions within their country. But you get them to the worlds where things are really messed up and it's going to sneak out somewhere.
yeah,
Push comes to shove, they
yeah,
crumble a little bit.
yeah,
They're not going to get the same consistent score. Something's going to show.
yeah,
So if you see an irregularity in their scores at the higher level, right there's your tell.
yeah.
That may not be a complete tell, though. It might also be a tell that the handler's not at their best, but
Exactly, yeah.
it's a clue. How to train my mixed shepherds to play fetch and become more ball obsessed. I may not be the trainer for this question too. Playing ball tires them out. So she wants them to learn to bring back the ball. Okay, I am not your trainer for this because I have breeds where if I throw a ball like with a chuck it or something, they commit suicide and injure
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
So I am not the best one for this because I'm going to teach you how to not get them to commit suicide rather than how to teach them to bring it back.
With my young puppies, I tend to do my throwing stuff, but it's not a big distance. So I'm throwing something 10 feet away, and when the puppy runs out to pick it up, then I will throw something 10 feet the other direction. So they're learning whenever they get out to something and start to come back with it. I have retrievers, so typically they're going to bring them partway back anyway. There's going to be another one being thrown the other direction. And they're just doing like 10 feet either way. It's not a long retrieve. And eventually, with repetition, they learn that they bring it close enough back to me, there's going to be another one being thrown because I'm going to hold off on my next throw until they get closer to me. And eventually, they get to a point where they're back to me before I throw the second one. When they get to a further on stage, I will go into more of a formal retrieve where they're just taught that they have to bring back whatever is out there.
I'm adding this in after the fact. Often, if they're dropping it part way, the easiest way to teach this is just to sit on your bum on the floor in your house, in your kitchen, and just roll the ball 2 feet away. So they kind of walk after it because it's just rolling a short distance. And just as they're coming back, have your hand on the floor and wiggle your fingers so it's like a cup that they can drop the ball into, and just keep doing that in a place where there's no distractions. So really you are the funnest thing there, and they learn it actually quite fast. If we're standing, we tend to move towards them, but sitting on our bums, we really can't. It's that pressure towards them that with a lot of the dogs will make them drop it. So sit on your bum, hand on the floor so it's not reaching towards the dog to grab the ball, and teach him to just place it into the cup. And this is actually a good exercise to do with the clicker on your kitchen floor. A lot of me is similar to you. As he's coming back into me, I'm just going to move backwards very slowly, softly, and like, here, honey, here, 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 right here. And just get him to bring it into my hands. I'm just like slowly backing up as he's running at me, and like tapping on my boobs, like up here, up here, up here, and just get him to jump up on me with his toy in his mouth. That's it.
Yeah.
And the ditching before they get right to you, it's a little bit of conflict with the handler, and not conflict as in you're a mean bad person, but conflict of as in mean mother will take my toy away and then I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
So just change that association as they're coming in that last 3 feet. Get them to jump in and dive on you as they're standing up on you with 2 legs, like, oh, super hairy, and push down on his toy. So you're telling him how clever he is for holding it tight. Like, back up 2 more steps. Whoa, hairy. Push down on it a little bit more, and then back up 2 more steps, out, and throw it.
Yeah.
So really focus on the coming in and holding and pushing it up against your body and dominating you and pushing into you and like, mommy, don't take it.
Yeah.
So encourage the fight with you.
Yeah.
As long as you have control and a dog that doesn't bite you, encourage that fight. Let them feel manly about their deed.
Okay, what's the next one?
I love this one, but I've been pondering over this because I read it earlier today. Don't die on me, Jilly. I need you.
All right.
What's the difference in frantic versus over aroused versus excitement versus displaced frustration? Frantic versus over aroused. So, frantic to me is the speed that a dog's brain is moving. I am a frantic human, and in Germany, I'm known as the frantic Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, I didn't even know what calm was, like, as in, I don't know what that looks like because I'm naturally frantic.
Yeah,
So
I know. Because you
they
can't.
had to teach me that calm was like, say the word, then 1/1000, and slowly move forwards. That's their definition of calm. So, frantic is the speed that your brain is moving, the speed that you think, versus aroused. Well, aroused is completely different to frantic, because
Over
aroused
aroused.
means, yeah, over aroused means you're at your threshold, like you're ready, like what's going on here? But it's not necessarily to do with the speed of your mind, because I can be frantic in the calmest moment. It has nothing to do with over aroused. I'm not explaining that well enough. Bail
Nope.
me out on that one, Jilly Willy.
I can't because I'm trying to figure out what you just said. You can
Um,
be over aroused without being frantic.
yeah. Well, no, they might be both, but frantic can happen without being over aroused. So, over aroused to me means more that I'm now surrounded by 1,000 squirrels,
So to
and
me,
my dog wants to get the 1,000 squirrels. But over aroused could also just be me, like about to put his leash on, letting him out a crate.
so frantic can just be a mindset.
Whereas over aroused is what's the world throwing at you.
You wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I have a doctor's appointment. I have to be at work by 11, but I have to be this. I have to do this. I have to pick this up. I have, like, your thoughts are just spinning.
ADHD are often frantic thinkers.
Yeah, that's what I said. An ADHD head would just be frantic. Everything is
Yeah,
spinning all the time.
yeah.
Whereas over aroused is might be me. I get up in the morning and I'm like, life is good. I'm having my cup of coffee. And then I get a phone call from work saying, can you come in an hour early? And then my car won't start. And then, ugh, like there's just too much going on. So now my brain is over aroused. Yeah, frantic to me
Me.
is a genetic thing.
Yeah, yeah, I
Like
agree.
it's a just a frenetic brain that's always spinning. I love that.
Frantic is an overachiever that can multitask
Yeah, sure.
in the human world.
Yep.
You can give me a list of 10 things and they'll be done.
See, I love a frantic brain in a dog.
I do too.
They're not for everybody.
No, I agree.
They're more exciting and they're more flashy.
But I think frantic brains are also less consistent in
Absolutely.
competitions over the long
100%.
run. Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Yep.
And in the humans too, also less consistent
Yep.
because it's more like blah than it is a thoughtful, done response. Harry, you are not frantic, darling. You are not.
Okay. Versus displaced frustration.
So, displaced frustration is one of my favorite training tools. And I'm going to get myself in trouble for saying this, but I always get myself in trouble. So, whatever. I love creating that in a dog. So, frustration builds drive.
Yes.
So, I am 100% game for like, super Harry, that's what I want. Good boy. Yeah. Good boy, Harry. Get it. And as he goes to get his toy that I've told him he's earned, I'll whip his toy away and not let him get it.
Yeah. Too
And I'm like,
slow.
good boy, get it, get it, get it. Too slow. Ha ha ha. I'll
Yeah.
whip his toy away, put it back, and like foos, and make him work again.
Yep.
And then I'll make him fully work again. And then, like, good boy, Harry, super dog, yeah, get it. And he'll go for his toy and I'll whip it away again and make him go for a third time. That is the best way to build drive. So, frustration is my way to build drive and build desire and all the rest of it. And I think it's life's way too. It's kind of like, well done. Good job, Monique. You're about to get this job you wanted so badly. Oh, too bad. Someone else
Haha.
is getting it. Exactly. Ha ha. Someone else is getting it.
Yep.
So, this is kind of life's way of making us dig deep and try harder.
Yep. I
Okay.
think
What?
of all of those
Drink
things,
more.
frantic and frustration are the two positives.
Yes.
Over aroused to me isn't a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And people might argue and say that if you bring out the favorite toy and don't let them get it, that's getting them over aroused. I think that's
No,
more a frustration thing.
over aroused is watching Jill watching too many TikTok videos of bad dog training.
You stop sending those to me. Or watching people pick my blackberries.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Over aroused is not is not a good thing in my head.
No, I agree. And when they're coming out over aroused, it's more like trying to find ways to calm them down.
Yeah. If they're frustrated or they're frantic, I can work with that.
I love I
And
love overly frustrated and frantic.
yeah, uh,
Both bring energy to the game that I can then turn in the direction that I want.
exactly. I can
Whereas
focus it where I
overly
want it.
aroused is already annoyed.
Yeah. Agreed. So, Teresa, if you have a frantic, frustrated dog, lucky you. If you have an over aroused dog, I'm really sorry.
But I think she says not frustration, but displaced frustration. So is she thinking that? He wants to eat that dog that just walked past. He doesn't get to eat that dog that just walked past. So he bites her in the knee instead. And even
Mm,
if that is the case, I'm still saying lucky you because that's easy to work with.
yeah,
Like you just need to know how to kind of turn that in the right direction.
yeah.
And if I'm right on what I just said, then email me and I'll tell you a whole lot more because I might be totally off. So there's no point going into this further.
No, that kind of makes sense because if you think of this from a if you look at this question from a reactive dog
Yeah.
perspective,
Yeah.
you've got your frantic reactive dog that's just out there like life is
La and
yeah,
can't cope. Yeah.
exactly. Life is just everything is exciting versus one that is my God, there's a squirrel, there's leaves, there's birds, there's
I
people, there's
agree.
dogs.
So a highly sensitive dog that's responding to everything in the environment.
Yeah. Versus one that's like, that dog looked at me the wrong way, I'm going to bite you.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, Teresa, if
So
you've got a dog that you're dealing with all of these things in a reactive dog, then definitely message Monique and
and I think we might be using different words because as a way Jill and I talking about this, we're like, yeah, that's a good thing. But if he's biting with a leg, it's not so good. But I think it is different terminology and easy to kind of tweak around. And I always love dogs that bring energy forward. Kate, when I first got Kate, she came into my house. She dove into Reggie's kennel, like wanting her dinner fast, and then went to attack Reggie when he went into his kennel for his dinner, and then bit me in the knee because I tried to steer her out of his kennel for her dinner, for
oh
his
dear.
dinner. And that's easy to work with because at least she's bringing the energy forward. She wasn't taking it into herself,
Yeah.
getting angry. Like she was very honest about her feelings and it was out there for me to deal with. So it was totally easy to deal with. So if that is the case, just message me and I'll help you. Versus, yeah, I think you're dealing with a whole lot of good stuff here,
So
not bad stuff.
go further down through that question. Are there triggers that you will always have to manage for a dog of questionable history? Is spinning behavior always frantic?
Okay, hang on. So the things you'll have to manage always for dog questionable history. With Kate, when she came, no, I had to manage it up front and then she managed it after that once I made my rules clear.
Okay.
Is spinning always frantic? Definitely not. Definitely not. Spinning can happen for so many different reasons.
I just wanted to look and see what breed of dog she had. Oh,
Malinois, I do
Malinois.
believe, because I read
Yeah.
that earlier.
Yeah.
So, no, spinning can happen for so many different reasons. It can happen for a switch of drives, it can happen for prey drive, it cannot necessarily be a good thing. Spinning is something I want to stop
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. I would want to stop it just because personally it's something that I hate.
And where it can go.
Yeah.
So if I was to see my dog like bark, bark, bark going forwards and then about to do a spin, as soon as I saw his weight shift on a shoulder so that he could then go backwards and spin, I'd be inclined to bonk him on the head with a toy to keep his momentum forwards.
Yeah.
So I would try and block spinning as much as possible. Spinning is not something I like. So while I like the rest of the things you described, I don't like spinning.
Like they don't know how to deal with it. And that's how it comes out.
And it can lead to many worse things.
Yeah. Initially, my foster dog, who became foster fail, came out of his kennel run or kennel as leaping air snaps inches from my face after trying to lick my face. 95% of the time, it's better. His replacement behavior for the jumping is either sitting or he rolls onto his back for a belly rub. Some days he comes out, grabs a toy, and does a couple of room laps.
I'm adding this in after the fact because Jill and I completely missed this detail when we recorded. But I am very, very cautious about a dog that's going to like jump up at my face and then goes down on the ground for a belly rub. I would not go down with them. I would just tell them, get up, get on your feet. And I have seen this only in 2 or 3 dogs in all of my career, but they would want to come up and be aggressive, change their mind, and would then instead go down on the ground, and people would go down with them, and then they would bite. So this, just the way you've written it, that scares me a little bit. So when your dog lays down for a belly rub, just tell him, get up, come on, get on your feet, and just kind of walk off. Do not go down. Just, that's my caution here. And I haven't met your dog, I haven't met you. It's just the way you wrote that, and listening to this after the fact, that scared me a little bit. I can talk about dogs that have snapped at my face.
Mhm.
They learn not to after the first time of doing
I
it.
I was gonna say that would end post haste.
As they dive up to snap at my face, I catch them when they're there and whack them. Like, you
That's
don't
one of
get to
those.
bite at my face. Like,
Yeah,
that's just not allowed.
that's one of those things that there's no positive reinforcement there. That's just a big no.
They do it once and it wasn't that fun. So they
Yeah,
find something else to do next time
yeah,
that I'm going to like, because it's better than snapping at my face. Because in our face, we have no tendons and muscles like we do in other parts of our body. So a bite to my forearm can hurt and destroy my forearm, but that same bite to my face will destroy my face and need like 4 or 5 plastic surgeries to fix it. Because we just don't have the same tendons and muscles in our face as we do our arms. So I do not allow snaps towards my face. Like, that's done with
yep.
the first time I see it. And yes, I might be a sociopath when I see it, but it never happens again.
I
So then we
was go-
get to move on to harmony.
yeah, I was gonna say it will be one big explosion, and they'll learn that that was a bad choice.
And I'm a crazy bitch. So they just don't try that again.
Yeah,
Then we move on to other options that we can then have fun with. And they don't have to be perfect options. I'm not expecting this dog to sit when he approaches me. He can then dive and snap at my boob, and I can throw a toy, but don't you dare snap at my face, darling.
or
That's
he
not
can
allowed.
push through your legs and like whatever. He can figure out some other way to get that energy out without coming at your face.
When I first got my dog, Reggie, I competed twice at Worlds with Reggie. Reggie used to leap up and grab mouthfuls of my hair, and I was his fifth home at this point. And I didn't tell him off for it because Reggie had been told off so much at this point that any telling off, he would just like close his eyes and hold on for dear life and say, "Go ahead, I can take it." But I needed to fix him grabbing at my hair fast, and I did.
You
And
cut
I
it
think I
off.
probably no, I think I can't even remember what I did. I have to think about this. What did I do? I think I just kind of provided a toy when I went out to get him. So I had a toy that he could jump up towards my shoulder for and grab and put in his mouth, and then we could just move off and go work on something else. So I kind of met his need and met my need at the same time without going into war with him, because he was ready to go to war and take it on.
Okay.
So kind of fix that void and move on to harmony together fast. But biting you is not on the table as a choice.
Yeah, snapping at face is that's just a huge no-no.
It doesn't take much for snap to remove your entire nose or cheek.
Right?
Just remember that.
Yeah.
But snapping at my face is a dead dog if they don't currently have a home.
Yeah. Right, next one. Bringing a 12-week-old puppy into a household with a middle-aged dog. In my case, he is an 8-year-old gentleman who loves people, cats, and dogs, but he is acting aloof with the puppy. He does not stop him from taking toys or food from him and just looks like he wishes the pup would disappear. We are a crate-free family.
So funny, your phone totally organizes things in a completely different order to
I
mine.
know. I was
I
thinking
have
that
the
as you
thing.
were reading them.
So what I would say is I love the fact that you're a crate-free family, but don't expect your dog to be your babysitter.
Yeah.
You don't You don't want to crate your puppy. That's absolutely fine.
But what do you do with
But
a
your
puppy?
dog doesn't want to either.
Right. But if you're crate free, what do you do with a puppy when you have to leave? When you have to go get
You
groceries?
Well, in those moments, it means you're stuck with your puppy, but you can't leave it with your old dog.
I
So
I
you
agree.
need to come up with ways for that. So your old dog's unimpressed with your puppy, so don't make him babysit.
Yep.
Step in there, do the work for him. It sounds to me, I'm sounding awful as I say this. You're slacking on your job. You just added a puppy and expected the old guy to raise it. He's saying, raise your own puppy. I
Yep.
don't want to. So get to work. You've got this puppy. You don't want to put it in a crate. Get to work. You've got many hours of work ahead of you.
Yep. The puppy's either coming everywhere with you,
Or you're
or
holding it in your arms.
maybe you have like maybe being crate free means that you have a kitchen that you can barricade off, or an X pen. I don't know what crate free actually technically means. Maybe they still have an X
No
pen.
crate. Yeah, it might. Barricaded kitchen, I would assume.
Yeah, but your old dog doesn't stop him from taking toys or food from him. You shouldn't be allowing the puppy to take food or toys from your old dog. That's your
Your,
job.
your sweet older dog never asked for a puppy. Don't make him your babysitter.
Yeah.
So I applaud you for being a non crate household, but get to work. You have a lot of work to do to stop your old dog from having to be your babysitter.
And if your old dog gets to a point where he's tired of being babysitter and then injures your young dog, that's on you.
Agreed. So I love your physical stance you've taken, but there's a whole lot of follow through that hasn't yet happened. So
Yeah.
you got some work to do. Sorry.
Yep.
Your old dog thanks us for saying that.
You're welcome, old dog.
You might hate us, but your old dog thanks us. I'm adding this in after the fact. Please do consider that your puppy's going to get overtired and be a monster if he's not getting put away for naps. So make sure he is actually going to sleep. He still needs to be crate trained because he's going to have moments at the vet's office. If he's going away to get boarded somewhere, if you're going on vacation or you have to attend a funeral or someone's in hospital, or if he's getting groomed, crating is still a life skill that he needs. So you don't necessarily have to be crating him at home, but it is still a skill that he needs. And it would make your life simpler. Maybe only do it for 1 or 2 hours a day.
Yeah. Um, do you have your ones up again, or should I keep reading?
I have them, they just come in a complete different order. Tips for helping my puppy learn she's not allowed to stick her head in the dishwasher. I'm out.
I'm like, why? Why are you wasting time with that? I let my puppies clean off my plates. I don't care. As long as the knives are turned upside down, I don't care if my puppies are in my dishwasher.
My basset hound stands completely in the dishwasher and licks plates. I think that's a very important job in our household for
Yeah.
a blind dog.
And honestly, if that's something that's important to you, then put your puppy away while you're loading the dishwasher.
Or just push him off the dishwasher consistently.
Yeah.
But in my house, that's a job for the geriatrics and the disabled.
Yeah.
We consider that a very valuable job in our house.
Yeah. That one's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, if you don't want your puppy doing it, tell it it can't do it. But I don't care if my puppies do that. I know people that every time they get a new puppy, they take pictures of them with their head in the dishwasher because it's a rite of passage.
I think it is. Could you outline your method for teaching reliable recalls with an older dog?
Go girl.
Number one to a recall is teaching a good relationship. And relationship means that they will follow you through fire. So you must be worthy of being followed through fire. So it starts off with being sleeping in my bed, having a whole lot of fun with my dog. Then, I mean, I've had a whole lot of feral dogs living with me. Adding this in after the fact, with these dogs, most of them just want to move. So long as I'm moving, they're happy to come with me. And if I have a feral that's a runner that has obviously taken off on people before, and I think this dog's going to take off on me, I always go on a bike, because so long as I can let them run, they'll happily run with me. They just want to run. So they're not necessarily running away, they're just running. So go on a bike. Back to the recording. It's taking them and allowing them that off leash freedom in private, safe places, and always just backing up away from things and calling them, like, take them on a big long hike of 2-3 hours, and up a mountain you go, across a waterfall, down the mountain on the other side, and back to the car. So I have a Labrador and board and train with me right now who doesn't give a damn about relationships, because he's always been perfect. And he will leave me, and I'm kind of limited on what I can do with him right now because of where my relationship is at with him. So because my relationship's kind of shitty with him right now because he doesn't give a damn about what I think, I've let him know that I'm very unhappy with him when he does that. And I've yelled at him. And then when he comes towards me, it's like, super darling, that's what I want. So he gets nice me when he's a good boy and comes towards me. And he's got evil me when he's just like, screw you, I don't care. And that's made big headway. Once I made that headway, food started to have a meaning and impact for him. But not until I had that relationship with him underway. Now, that stuff, as I'm saying that, is hard for a whole lot of people. And an e-collar is a whole lot easier and nicer for a lot of people and dogs.
Yeah.
The dog.
I think
Because
bottom,
what I'm talking about, yelling and being like mean to them and demanding more, like, don't you dare ignore me like that. I'm expecting you to listen.
yeah,
That requires feel and timing, whereas an e-collar doesn't require near that feel and timing.
yeah. I think bottom line is they have to want to be with you.
They do. You have to build that
You
relationship first and
have to have a
foremost.
relationship, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, if they don't want to be with you, then they have to learn
Nothing can.
they learn they have to be with you. Like it's like a dog that's not food motivated. If you can't motivate them with food or a toy, you only have one other option,
Yeah.
and that's correction, and that's no fun. But those are kind of your three choices. They want to work for food, for toy, for you, or to avoid a correction. So work on
Yep.
your relationship so that they want to be with you.
Next question.
Uh,
How can you tell if a dog is angry?
I, to me, that just seems like something you should be able to tell. How would you tell if your child was angry?
Yeah, but in humans we know what to look for. In dogs we necessarily don't.
Okay.
So for me, it's a tight jaw
Mm-hmm.
and lips are pulled forward. So the lips are pulled forward short and in a C shape. So if you look at the side of your dog's mouth right now, let's say his lips are going to be 3 or 4 inches long. When he gets angry, he's going to change his lips to 1 or 2 inches long.
Yeah, everything tightens up.
And his jaw and his face are just going to go tight. And with that, his body's going to go tight too. And he's just going to look uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's short lips is what I'm looking for when a dog gets angry.
I just see
I hope.
tight everything.
Yeah,
Their
tight everything.
their eyes change as well. I find like I can see a change in their eyes.
Some dogs get bright red eyes.
Or their face goes tight and they've got a look that's just like I'm trying to hold off here, but it's not gonna happen for long. But tight is a good
So,
description.
for,
Maybe we need to post some pictures of
tight
soft
Harry.
soft versus tight. Like
Yeah.
I know people that will just say to a dog that's starting to look like they're getting angry and they'll be like soften up, And you can see the dog just be like, okay.
It's muscles relaxed versus muscles tight, quite
Yeah,
literally.
exactly.
And clenched jaw is always a giveaway.
Yep. If they're if they're not panting, like if jaw is clenched
A
and
panting dog is a safe dog. If
yeah,
they're not panting, be careful.
yeah. Ah,
All right, I'd like to take a little more time about talking about puppies and what you do with puppies. I really enjoy your podcasts and posts. What do we do about puppies? Well, it's a hard one, and I think we've talked about it a whole lot. My babies sleep in my bed. I am a mother bear, and no one is allowed to scare them for the first few weeks until they're ready to be scared.
scare them, nothing. Nobody's allowed to touch them.
No one's allowed to get near them.
Exactly.
They have no bad experiences until they are ready and competent and will benefit from a bad experience. I'm not sure it was a useful answer in any way for this poor person. Do we switch from being a good trainer to a great trainer?
I think she's doing just for the food. Well, she's doing it just for the food then. I mean, you're kind of laughing if she's working for the food because then it's kind of an easy way to wean out the food and become the reason for them to do it. How we switch from one to how to handle the interaction.
It's such a subtle difference in the dog must please me to get the food versus the dog must just get the food.
Yep.
So I'm the middleman in this transaction. Like, unless you make me happy, that food doesn't go in your belly.
Which to
But
me
if you
comes
make me happy, the food will.
which comes back to genuine praise.
Yep.
If you are just a Pez dispenser, popping the food into their mouth every time they do something right, then they're just doing it for the food. But if you let them know verbally that what they're doing is what you want, then your praise becomes important because not unlike a clicker, click, treat, click, treat, click, treat. Now they're going to get your praise and a treat, your praise and a treat, and they're going to learn that the praise is what brings the positive thing.
Our next question here is about a dog that is guarding water.
I've seen dogs that have guarded water that have been street dogs. Well, I mean, street dogs kind of points towards Mexico, but I know a dog that was on the reservation and was rescued as a young puppy with mange and never had access to anything. And until she was years old, she wasn't a water guarder, but if you gave her water, she would empty the bowl
It's
because
different
it
than the
was.
garter.
I don't think so because there were no other dogs in the house for her to guard it from. But she was emptying that water bowl because it was such a resource for her that she wasn't used to having normal access to. So I think it depends on the history of the dog and where they're coming from. Because if they've had to fight to even get water, like to me, it's not any different. I mean, we might just have to agree to disagree on that. But to me, it's no different than somebody who has had to fight for every morsel of food. If they've had to fight for every lap of water, it's something to fight for until they realize it's there and they don't have to resource guard it.
I agree with you because I think water is even a more valuable commodity than food. But very few dogs have ever had to fight for water, whereas many have had to fight for food.
Yeah.
So, for that reason, I take fighting for water much more seriously than fighting for food.
Interesting. Do you think part of that is because the water is always out?
Yes, water is not a valuable resource like food is,
Yeah, but like you're
unless you're from like New Mexico, where there is no water.
right, but I'm thinking in your specific situation. if there was food out all the time, you would have the same issue with them guarding the food as you would with them guarding the water. You're not allowed to do that. It's all out there all the time. You're okay with your dog's food resource guarding because that's their meal and that's theirs. They're allowed to eat that. Nobody should go into that.
I don't know that I'm okay with that. I've just seen much more serious results coming from water guarding.
I think if I had a dog that was water guarding, I would put out 17 bowls of water.
I agree. 70 bowls of water. And then, but this is my hesitation with this. The water guarders are often the dogs that also guard vomit.
Well, they'll guard anything that they can put in their mouth.
Yeah. But if you have 70 bowls of water and 28 piles of vomit, it's going to go away. But you can't fight these dogs over not guarding that vomit or water because they'll die on that battlefield if you allow them.
Yep. Yep.
These are tough dogs. Like, these are definitely tough dogs. Pick the battle that you're willing to die in. When they're willing to guard water like this, yeah, you have a serious issue.
Well, and this dog is also a foster that is puppies. She's had a foster since August when she had her puppies. She's starting to value balls. Okay, so August, September, October, November, December. So puppies have probably just left. August. She had puppies in August, September. Okay, so they're gone. Yeah, I don't know. I would just put out a whole bunch of water so that she didn't have any reason to resource guard it.
And dogs that guard water scare me a bit. But Jill is 100% right. Give her 8 bowls of water everywhere. Because if she was guarding an object, I would give her 8 beef chewies and 8 marrow bones and
Yeah.
let her guard them to her heart's content. So Jill's right by the overabundance of water. It's just that scares me more because I see it less frequently.
Yeah, I
So
think it's
Jill's
kind of the
right.
same thing. If they
Yeah,
realize
it is the
there's an
same thing.
abundance of it there, then there's no point in guarding it. And if it
Jill's
continues,
100%
then
right.
yeah,
You're right. You're 100% right. I agree with you. My panic doesn't want to agree with you, but you are 100% right.
I'm adding this after the fact. If she is your foster dog, this is a dog that I would continue fostering for 2 or 3 more months to make sure that things don't get worse. Because it sounds like the water guarding might be a more recent thing and hasn't been there all along. And I was reserved last night. The dogs that I've seen guard water generally don't have happy endings. I would find a trainer who is amazing with resource guarding. They do exist. And it was Barb. Barb was her name from Washington. And I can't remember her last name, but Jill will. She used to have fascinating things she did for resource guarding with great success. I would be talking to someone like her. Find an expert in this field and talk to them. And it's not me.
Your recent quote stood out to me about a great trainer gets a dog to want to do a behavior. I feel like I'm stuck at a place with my dog where I want to graduate off some training tools. But anytime we walk without one, he needs corrections to walk politely. He doesn't pull crazy. He just constantly is testing the boundaries. I think this is a good reality check here of I think I'm a very, very good trainer. And with my own dogs like Harry and Johnny, they too are constantly checking the boundaries. And you've got Jill here, who's a very good trainer. Her dogs too are checking the boundaries on loose leash. Maybe this is somewhat of a norm.
I think any dog with a little bit of moxie is always going to be checking the boundaries. I think they're always going to see if they can get away with something. And
And I think
especially
that's healthy.
especially if you've let them have a normal dog life and enjoy themselves, they're going to see what they can get away with.
And it's not a bad thing.
No, I mean, it's something you need
Just
to be,
don't let them succeed.
yeah, you need to be aware of it and keep it in check. But yeah, I think it's pretty normal.
I agree.
We had another one back up there that I was
I
looking
think we
at.
only have one question remaining, which is in about loose leash.
Yes, that was the one I was looking at.
Consistency is the key, but is it really as simple as just refusing to move if she pulls on the leash? No, it's not that
No.
simple. I don't know there's a simple answer to this question, but what I learned from Peter Sherrick, and not in this context, he taught me this in a completely different context, was that my body just moved in such an annoying way that the dog quit what they were doing. So I then applied that to loose leash walking. That in loose leash, my arms just swing left and right, left and right, left and right,
Front and
which is
back.
so annoying to the dog. Thank you.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I want to see
Um,
you. I want to
that
see you
it's
walk swinging left and right.
well, I was thinking my left arm, right arm, left arm, right arm. That it's just so annoying to the dog that they just kind of stop pulling because my arms keep just swinging front and back.
There will be some dogs that don't care about that. I can tell you
And
that
then,
from personal experience.
but then I'm going to use equipment so that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So if I need to use a pinch collar for this, I will, because my 51-year-old shoulders need help in the form of equipment.
And I'm going to say that between those two things, your swinging and your prong collars, probably 95% of the dogs will learn loose leash walking. I have one that has not. Jennifer Petrie, and related question, why is it so easy to be really bad at leash training a dog? We should talk, Jennifer, because I'm really good at
I,
teaching dogs to be bad on a leash. Did we get all of them?
I think so.
Nice work
I
with
think we
you.
did.
So, all right.
Thank you, Dilly Willy.
Thank you. It's been a slice.
All
Until
right.
next
Have a
time,
good night.
we'll see you next Tuesday.
Good night.
Bye.